Only thing when you and Lee is me. And I don't have as many slides as these guys had. To the point, it was a good year in South Carolina, of course, the budget goes. We all, believe it or not, do drive to Columbia. I think hardly anyone ever flies down today, but and I don't think that the inland ports will stop off there. But it was a good year. It started actually last year, I think, with our funding for the port. When we had the surpluses in revenue, we took the stance in South Carolina that we're not going to go with the federal government except for a permit to deepen our harbor. Living in the upstate is very important to us. We had the cash on hand, we put the cash in the bank, said if you give us a permit, we really don't need your money, we're ready to go. But your money would be nice because we can help offset that and use that other revenues for other things. Just to give you, I don't know how many of you have seen some of my presentations, but I always like to educate people how the budget in South Carolina works. You have to get a good understanding of where the money comes in and where it goes out, especially when you start talking about the gas taxes, the surpluses that we have, the 61 million, I think, or so you read about in the newspaper. What are we going to do with it? Well, we're still working on that one, but to the point of our annual budget, when you look at it, it's $22.8 billion. The part that we get to play with, you see the general fund is only 6.6. I always like to put that out there because folks always argue, well, as politicians, we always try to figure out who's, how much we're doing or not doing. To the point of the 6.6 is what we move around in our budget. You can watch us on the floor. The 22s with it, that's a lot of the transportation dollars that come in to the DOT. We authorize that expenditure. We don't actually, money changes hands. We authorize that, as well as Medicaid matches and other type of things. All that's inclusive of that 22.8 billion, and there's other funds in there that comes in, fines, fees, college tuition, all that stuff's lumped into the 22.8. But it shows you that our state budget is a seventh of the total state economy when it gets to that point. So there's a lot of folks dependent upon that, and we are required to be balanced to that point. And the appropriations, I love the part of what it takes to run a school on a daily basis. And that's inclusive of all dollars to do that. And then the Medicaid money. The reason I haven't put this slide is I'll give you an overview when we get to the point of it, talking about transportation dollars. Well, this is where your 6.6 or 22 goes over here on a daily and weekly basis. You can see where that money is actually being expended. So when you get down to the piece of pie what's left for transportation, you can see it gets very small in that aspect. So there you are. That's where your money goes. Just general overview, we had a little bit of money left over last year. We started putting some of that one-time funding towards roads, bridges. Was glad to do that. Of course, you see what the federal government's doing in the direction. So that's good to be balanced. Total road system in South Carolina, this is where I think the argument always starts in funding. Well, we have a very large road system. We're very dependent upon the gasoline tax. How many in here drive a big, like me, a big Toyota Tundra with a V8? They help us support the roads. How many are now in the new hybrids, electric cars? You know, it's scot-free. And that's kind of part of the problem we're struggling with, to the point of we're dependent on the gas tax and making cars more fuel efficient. Of course, that's all congestion, all those issues. You ride by a high school parking lot. No, I don't think you might ride the school bus, but we buy a whole lot of them in the state. I've yet to figure that out. And I'm one of the guilty ones. I take my kids to school too. They don't ride the bus. And my daughter's got a car. So not a lot of folks back in the day when the systems were built out had 3 and 4 automobiles in your driveway. Our state system is one of the largest systems that you'll find in the U.S. I think it was on the first slide. I think it was led to at that point, because we do things a little bit different in South Carolina, whereas other states, they fund the interstates only, or they fund the primary interstate roads. They don't deal with the secondary roads. That's into the municipalities and other type things. But we, in turn, pretty much do it all. I forgot, I wish I would have put on here the slide, the amount of miles of dirt roads we have in South Carolina in the state system. It's kind of amazing, but what it takes to maintain those. But here's the breakdown basically of the roads. Interstate's only 851. That's a small percent of the system. Where we have a problem with the funding aspect, as you can see, is the non-federal aid eligible secondary roads that we use. A lot of these are the farm and market roads that they paved out. And we're struggling with looking at, two things. Do you raise the gas tax to fund the system? And obviously everybody's getting more fuel efficient in that direction. That's not going to work. This year we took part of the $300 sales tax on automobiles, moved over to the DOT as a recurring source of revenue on top of the gas tax. A lot of other states do that. They have a mix of funds going in. We predominantly have the one going into it. Bridges are kind of in this aspect too. You see the pavement conditions on these roads. Interstate 69% is in good shape. Some of you may agree or disagree with that aspect, depends on what interstate you're riding on. And then 23% is fair, only 8% of that is poor. Some of that goes into the bridge aspect of it. Pavement conditions. From the primaries, you see that it grows, and you get down to the poor little secondary guys out there where actually there is no match money. It's all state funds that you're allowed to fund that. And you have worse roads and worse conditions. So maybe we need to look at, do we really need all those roads? I always laugh at Anderson. Anybody here from Anderson? All right. To the point that that corner, I don't know why you put Anderson in the corner, but they, nobody just made it the corner. But we have a road in the city. It's like 1st and 2nd Street. Just to show you how the problem exists. It's by a housing complex. And I think it's 2nd Street divides the housing complex from the park where the kids go play. And on the other side of the park is 1st Street. So there's two roads that are in the state system that are maintained by the state, when clearly you only need one. Now granted, it's been there forever, that's how they did it, so they just pay you and they keep maintaining those roads. Those are the things that we need to look at and try to pull out of the system. Really, as a safety aspect, we need to shut down one street and not have and fund the other. Those types of things are things that we're going to have to start looking at from a legislative standpoint and work with the DOT to do it, because those things just make sense. This year, obviously, I think it's been covered. So where our money went, $500 million for SIP for the bonds, $50 million of that stream that I told you only had $6 million of on a daily basis went to fund the debt service now for SIP. 420 on sales tax on cars. Basically, that's $40 million over time in obviously roads. And then you got your $250 for the bridge repair replacement. State and federal match, that's the $50 million we have in one-time dollars. We actually get a state match on that. And we actually have a list of those bridges we have from DOT and put in there as well. You will have to fund these. There's a fair amount in the upstate. But the problem you have is like a lot of the roads are built at the same time. I live down near Lake Hartwell. So you have a lot of the lake systems that were built at the same time. All the bridges went in around that lake at the same time. They're all going to do. We got a safety problem if you want to get the infrastructure with a lot of the municipalities with the water and sewer systems that were installed. Well, they're about time wiped out, so they're going to be coming due. So we've got some real infrastructure issues that we realize we're trying to work on that aspect as well as juggle the other things that the federal government tells us we have to do for maintaining our part of the state economy. Kind of tells you how the DOT budget operates. Once again, this is a lot of this stuff that we actually just approve. To that point, it's revenue takes it in, sends it over to DOT as far as the gas tax goes. You get your federal reimbursements, state fuel tax, and then you get the miscellaneous funds, report, etc. Come in. And then, of course, it's about 1% of the DOT budget is general funds. Very, very small amount that goes into that aspect. This year, I think we 40 million, so that our general fund should have grown just a little bit in that part. So you can see on the great pie chart where it all goes. The real need is on those non-federally highways. Whereas South Carolina shows where we are. It is what it is. So a lot of discussion on this one to determine if we need to raise it or not. What that would do we index the fuel tax so you never have to address it again. Some want to raise it and index it, some want to index it, some want to just raise it to a flat fee, and some don't want to do anything at all. I'm kind of in the category of it's going to take more than a fuel tax to fix the system. And if you're going to do it, you got to fix the system in a whole. The worst thing you're going to get is a bunch of politicians piecemeal and quilt, and that's what we've kind of done, and that's where we are today, and why you got the road system and the funding the way it is to that aspect. Some of the concerns here we're talking about taking trucks off the road. Or if you're taking trucks off the road, it's big 18-wheelers with a single lot of fuel, then you're going to have less consumption on that aspect as well. So you've got several different things going here within the port's good. Getting trucks off, less fuel, less money, got to come up with something. Some say, well, we should raise the $300 car tax to a higher level because the guy driving the, I'm not going to say the dealers, but $50,000 Suburban, which I didn't even bid for a Suburban nowadays, should pay more. Well, that high dollar car also has a large property tax value. So you got to address with the local governments to the point of how much they're collecting on the property taxes. They're depending on that property tax as well as the school system as to how they're going to fund their budgets. So if we increase the sales tax, something's got to give on the property tax side. Because that person really, truly, they are paying a fair share to the system of taxes on that vehicle. This just doesn't go to the Department of Transportation. It's going to local school districts, to local governments, and the state really doesn't. All we get is the $300, which we in turn send half of it now with the Department of Transportation to fund the non-federal aid highways. So that's the fun argument that we always have at Columbia and struggle with is how do you fund it? You got to look at the system as a whole and fix it from the pit, start with the seal. I mean, what they do and how we work at it. I think Max touched on it. The option sales taxes. You turn a part of it over to the locals and have them do something on the local sales tax side to maintain roads. And we look at like what other states do, just shrink our system, but we don't only maintain a certain part of the roads. But that's a discussion that's going to have to be had. It's going to be painful. It's going to be difficult. But it's something that we are here and we have to start talking about. With that, thank you.